Welcome to another installment of a segment where we dive into one of Elder Scrolls Online's many sets and explore what sort of builds you can make. Not only will we show you how to get the most from these sets, but we'll explain where to get them, what requirements there are to obtain them if any, and everything else you could possibly want to know about them. In this video we'll take a look at the Alessian Order that increases health recovery based on your resistances. This set was added with Update 1 Craglorn, which launched in May 2014. This addition to the base game featured the inclusion of the game's first trials in Hellraw Citadel and Arthurian Archive. The Alessian Order set can be obtained from the Lesteris Elite Gear Fender in Cyrodiil. This heavy armor set comes in Aldmeri, Daggerfall, and Ebonheart motif styles. These motifs are tied to your chosen faction and can be found in chests in Cyrodiil and Imperial City. Only players belonging to that faction can find these, so players from other factions will need to purchase them from guild traders or other players. Weapon and armor traits are random, meaning you're going to have to farm pieces for different traits. This is a heavy set, so enchantments on armor and weapon pieces are max health and absorb health. Jewelry comes with the healthy trait and health recovery enchantments. Keep in mind that you can use transmutation to change traits if you wish. However, the Somerset expansion is needed to change traits on jewelry, along with 50 transmute crystals. Alessian Order adds 2,975 physical and spell resistance and 1,206 max health with 4 legendary pieces equipped. The 5-piece bonus increases health recovery by 1% of your total physical and spell resistance. Health, stamina, and magicka are all complemented with the same named recovery stat. This stat indicates how much of that particular resource you can regain over time. Recovery ticks every 2 seconds, and the amount you recover is displayed on the character sheet. Base recovery, without anything that would increase it further, depends on your character's level. These recovery stats can be increased in many ways. Note that increasing max health, stamina, and magicka does not affect recovery at all. Every recovery stat has its own method of how to increase it. It can be through champion skills, sets, abilities, buffs, traits, etc. Set jewelry almost always comes with the recovery stat enchantment. Light sets come with magicka recovery, medium with stamina, and heavy with health. The invigorating armor trait increases recovery of all 3 resources at once, though by a very low amount. Health recovery. Health recovery is a stat that is more important for tanks but is rarely utilized in PvE builds, and it can be more effective in PvP. Healing done, healing taken, and healing received do not impact health recovery in any way. Minor and major defile, however, reduce health recovery by 15 and 30%. The following are ways you can increase health recovery. Stamina recovery. Stamina recovery is a stat that is most important for stamina DPS roles. Most tanks have little use of it because stamina recovery is 0 when holding block, which they almost always are. In addition, you regain stamina by hitting an enemy with a fully charged heavy attack when using any weapon besides staves. The following are ways to increase your stamina recovery. Magicka recovery. Magicka recovery is a stat that is most important for magicka DPS roles and some tank builds. Besides magicka recovery, you can recover magicka by hitting an enemy with a fully charged heavy attack when using staves. The following are ways you can increase magicka recovery. How this set works is it calculates the sum of physical and spell resistance and adds 1% of that sum to your health recovery. Let's do some examples. If your physical resistance is 30,000 and spell resistance is 30,000, then you have 60,000 resistances and gain 600 health recovery. If your physical resistance is 10,000 and your spell resistance is 15,000, then you have 25,000 total resistances and gain 250 health recovery. This set on its own adds 2,975 physical and spell resistance, which is a nice defensive boost. Scaling is linear and there are no ways to increase it. By having more resistances, you can have more health recovery, and any increase that goes over the resistance hard cap, 33,100, will add additional health recovery. So you can get almost 900 health recovery in extreme cases. Total health recovery bonus can be seen on the set's tooltip beneath the 5-piece set bonus. There are ways to reach the highest resistance and health recovery numbers with this set. First, by using the protective trait on jewelry and defending on your weapon, you can get around 13k total resistance on a max level character, which equals around 130 health recovery. Jewelry already adds up to 169 health recovery per piece if it's part of a heavy set. Adding the Steed Mundus Stone with 7 Divines will also add around 360 health recovery. Having high resistance sets like Mighty Chuden, Mark of the Pariah, and Fortified Brass. Werewolf adds 20,000 total resistance to the player when in werewolf form, which equals 200 health recovery. Notes for PvE players. Alessian Order is a set purely for tanks because they are the only ones that truly need health recovery, max health, and resistance bonuses. Hitting about 25,000 physical and spell resistance should not be an issue at higher levels for a proper tank, which would mean 500 health recovery from this set, and that is not bad at all. The only issue is that tanks require some stamina bonuses, which this set does not provide. That is why the Tower Mundus Stone would be a good choice instead of the Steed to balance it out. How far can health recovery go with this set? I have used the following setup to get it as high as possible. In total, my resistance sum was around 87k, which means 870 health recovery from Alessian Order. At its highest level, it ended up around 4700 health recovery. That is quite a lot. If the buff from the Troll King Monster Helm set is active, then health recovery goes up to around 6200 for 10 seconds. These health recovery numbers are really high and will make your tank hard to kill, especially when you factor in healing. The problem is that in PvE, you do not need such high resistance, so buffing it so much becomes detrimental to what tanks are all about, and Alessian Order is a selfish set that provides no benefits to the team. That is why building around it should not be about boosting health recovery to insane levels, but to have it at decent levels while also providing support to your teammates. From Monster Helms, I would pick one of these three. There are many options for a second set. Depending on the class, I would opt for those that can provide beneficial effects to the whole party, or a direct support set. Something like Ebon Armory to provide more health to teammates, Akaviri Dragon Guard to reduce ultimate cost, Champion of the Hiss to get more stamina and a permanent minor heroism buff, the newly added Mighty Glacier that provides teammates with major ward and resolve upon hitting an enemy with a snare or mobilization ability, Automated Defense that provides teammates with major Aegis when ultimate is used, and there are many more sets that would fit nicely. Health recovery is a better stat in PvP than PvE due to healing and damage being halved. Characters with high recovery and good defense can survive for longer periods of time. Going over the resistance cap is not uncommon in PvP because DPS rules have a high amount of physical and spell penetration. That plays right into the hands of Alessian Order because more resistance equals more health recovery. However, health recovery is now countered by the Defile debuff, which is something you need to be aware of. It is commonly used in PvP, so having high health recovery does not mean you are automatically really hard to kill. Damage shields and debuff removal abilities are good to have in that case. This set relegates you into the tank role in PvP as well, with the goal of harassing enemies and drawing fire, basically keeping enemy attention on yourself when possible. Troll King is the best choice for a monster set, but only if you have a means of healing yourself to proc it. Permafrost works great as well since it increases recovery by 885 when a damage shield is active. Vasal's Guile puts Minor Defile on all nearby enemies, making it great at debuffing for PvP players. Werewolf players can gain an additional 20,000 total resistance on top of what you already have, so you'll gain an additional 200 health recovery when transformed. This means you can reach staggering health recovery and have 40,000 plus resistances as a werewolf, making you virtually invincible if you can cleanse defiling effects. Alessian Order is a set with good tanking bonuses and pretty good everything you would want except stamina bonuses. It provides a good amount of health recovery that comes from an already useful resistance stat. That makes it one of the best health recovery sets in the game. You essentially get the same health recovery as Beekeeper if you are set up for tanking, but with an extra 2,975 to your resistances. Using the Tower Mundus Stone solves the problem of the no max stamina set bonus. Going full on health recovery is never worth it, so the quality of such set is best shown in how much it can offer in a realistic build scenario. At max level with heavy armor equipped and no further bonuses to resistance, you get around 14 to 17,000 spell and physical resistance, which is already 280 to 340 health recovery without needing to optimize anything. This set provides an additional 3k physical and spell resistance, which you need anyway for endgame content. From 25,000 to 30,000 is good enough for PvE, so equipping support sets next to this selfish one is the way to go. With a realistic setup such as Battalion Defender, Alessian Order, Engine Guardian, you can still achieve over 2k health recovery easily without wasting champion points and having to go over the resistance cap. Taking that all into consideration, it still does not make this set a great choice, but rather a decent one because being one-shot in PvE is quite normal if you miss a block, and that is where health recovery won't have any effect. In PvP, the set will be used by niche players who try to make immortal builds due to the high amount of health recovery you can obtain, combined with the fact that you can go over the 33,100 cap because of penetration. There are more options to play with here since getting one shot is highly unlikely, especially with decent defenses added on top of health recovery. Overall, Alessian Order is a decent choice for PvE because of the resistance and health recovery correlation, and decent set for PvP when built around it. So this set will be used in the game most definitely, although not as frequently anymore because of the health recovery nerf to racial passives. Only Khajiit can have up to 100 health recovery from their passives at the time of this testing.